What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, number one. And I know that I started my whole Facebook day with a really triggering post, but it's so important. And you probably noticed that I actually got all my hair into a ponytail, and that's because SoulCycle kicked my ass like no other today. But it also had me into this space of feeling like no nonsense, more than usual, right? And I shared this thing about drinking and anxiety and depression. And I want to talk more about just like surrendering to your next stage of evolution, because that looks like something unique just for you. I can't tell you what your next stage of evolution looks like. You may not even know what that really looks like yet. You may not have caught the vision for that yet. And I want to invite you to explore what that looks like today. But first, before we do all that, I'm going to talk about a question and a self inquiry we can do with ourselves to get really honest. Because if you guys don't know me, or if you don't watch my stuff, or you haven't read my book, I am a tough love while offering radical acceptance, right? Because if you're not honest, you are not being real with yourself about what hurts and what doesn't hurt and what you want and what you'd like to experience and what you're capable of, and you're defending all your bullshit, you're never going to get to where you want to go. Never. Will not happen, because you're clinging to what no longer serves you and you are defending your limitations. So I want you to be open to stopping doing that before we go any further with this. And I'm going to share the primary question you can ask yourself to find out if you're really ready to surrender, right? Because let's talk about this for a moment. I think almost everyone wants to have a better life. Better is relative, right? An improved way of being, more abundant, more joy, more love, more expressive, right? More connection. But very little of that, like very small percentage of that, those people are actually willing to do something about it. And what makes me such a good coach? Number one, I've been through all these things. So I don't enable people because I know it's not going to serve you. Having it be easy is not going to serve your soul's evolution. It's not going to do anything for you. Me lying to you is not going to serve you. Me being like, okay, that's okay, stay in your bullshit, stay in your excuses, is not going to serve you. Now I can love and accept you where you're at and call you to grow. And that's what today is really about. Hi, Chad. Hi, BC. Hi, Summer. Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Gwyneth. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Kirsten. So I don't know who's still on here or what's going on, but let's share this real quick. Because I'm taking Chanel out to lunch, and we're going to the movies, and we're doing our little Friday thing. But I cannot do that without sharing this message with you guys. So I want you guys all to know that, A, right where you are, everything can change in an instant, like that. So many things can change. You are a miracle. You are surrounded by miracles, and there's infinite potential in you. So if you're feeling like there's no hope for the future, or you're feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to get out this financial bind, or I don't know how I'm going to get out of all this debt, or I don't know how I'm going to go through this health thing, I don't know how I'm going to get more clients, I don't know how I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. You fill in the blank with your own BS and limitations. Know this. You have no idea what's going to happen the next hour, or the next day, or the next month. But you think you do. And perhaps you're projecting all of the shit that happened last month onto next month. So I'm going to invite you to become aware of that and stop it right now, because it's not serving you. Because you're just going to keep creating more of that, right? So one of my favorite reflections is to remind myself that everything that's around me right now, everything that I've chosen, my relationships, the way that I feel, the way that my apartment looks, the way that, my car, my business, all of these things are the cumulative result of how I've been thinking and what I believe to be true, right? And what I've been willing to do, and also what I've not been willing to do. That's the same for you, right? So the beautiful thing about all of that is we can say, oh, this is what I've created thus far. I'm willing to recreate. I'm really willing to create something different. So how many of you that are on this call right now, this is not a call. I always think like it's a coaching call. It's a Facebook Live. Same kind of thing, right? How many of you guys that are on here right now, and this is part of your universal surrender and saying yes and stepping up and having the energetics with it, are serious about surrendering to your next stage of evolution right now? I know BC is, because BC is like kicking ass right now and doing so much. So how many of you are willing? Do an emoji. What does that emoji look like, right? Drop something in the comments that's like, yes, we're in this collective space, And in this collective space, we get to say yes, and we actually create a vortex because there's more than one of us coming together that is saying, yes, I'm willing to say yes to more. I'm willing to see differently. I'm showing up for myself. I understand that I can recreate everything starting in this moment, right? So I see you guys are down for that. So this question that I asked myself, how bad do I really want what's on the other side of this action? How bad do I really want this vision that's been gifted to me? How badly, how intensely, how immensely would I enjoy having what's waiting for me on the other side of my sacred yes, right? And I love thinking about this because, guys, it is what got me through all of my bullshit. It really is what got me through all my bullshit. And I want you guys to know this, that it was not easy. There's all this talk in the whole world, in the whole personal development realm about it can be easy. Yeah, it can be easy. It can be easy, but I have to tell you that it's okay that if it's not, because you're creating a new pattern and you're letting go of a way of being that you may have been for decades. And that may not feel easy. So that doesn't mean give it up, stop it. Why doesn't this feel easy? It means, can you lean into the discomfort? Can you allow yourself to stretch and grow in the discomfort? And if you can't, then that's where you have to be honest with yourself. You really don't want it. You don't want it, right? So I had to ask myself in the depths of my own bullshit when I was financially broke, emotionally feeling broke. And I realized that I'm a mom. I'm giving all of these patterns to my daughter if I don't change now. Why am I going to carry these lack patterns that have been in my family running rampant for so long? My family's Italian immigrants, right? So they even had to change their last name because their last name couldn't have a I at the end of it. So they changed it to Sylvester so that they wouldn't be seen as these Italian immigrants, right? My family has lack consciousness down. So when it became so clear to me that if I don't do the work, not only am I going to suffer because I'm going to miss out on all of my soul's desires that I want to travel and explore and become a better teacher by learning all these things and just enjoy things in life and not be limited to right where I'm at. And that being said, I decided I don't want to be there. So and I had to ask these questions of myself. Am I really willing to do what it's going to take me to get from here to here? And sometimes the answer was I don't know. So I had to dig back in, right? Am I really willing to feel the fear, the discomfort, the anxiety that's going to come from making whatever decision that I'm going to have to make to get from here to there? Because it's a stretch, because there's an edge there, there's a gap, and I had to walk it, I had to fill it. And some of you guys know your gaps, you know your edge, you know where you need to walk, you know what you have to do, but you're just not willing. So then we have to talk about, well, what am I willing to do? For some of you guys, you're willing to read a book. You're willing to listen to Audible. You're willing to listen to my Facebook Lives. But some of you guys are not willing to invest in my programs, even though you're oh my God, Nicole's Facebook Lives, this one-way conversation of Nicole just talking to a group of people publicly is impacting my life in a good way. But I don't know if I could really invest my money in her programs. That's a limitation right there, right? It might be I hate that I have no energy. I hate that I feel like shit, but I'm not willing to stop eating processed foods. Just like I said about the anxiety and depression earlier. Alcohol, right? I'm someone that has recovered from an alcohol and drug addiction, right? But I haven't gone to recovery. I learned how to just handle it. And now I'm at the point where it's I don't like it because I don't like feeling not like my highest self, right? So there's times when I do it, but it's not it's I prefer my highest, most clear self, right? But for some people, they feel they can't get to that next place in their life, in their business. They're attracting the wrong men or the wrong women. And they're God, I don't know why. And you know what? They find so much, maybe it's just familiarity, it feels familiar, it feels homey, because maybe you have grown up in a home where people just gossip and talk about their problems all the time, and it's so easy to identify with everything that happened before today. I'm here to invite you to just stop that. If you're hanging out with people where you guys get together to complain about what's not working in your life, that's a red flag. It's really a red flag. I cannot spend time with people that are in a complain mode. I will share, wow, this doesn't feel good, this isn't working. Then I'm what's the solution, right? Notice where you don't have that in your life. So when it comes to transformation and asking these questions, the only way that you can really have the radical, the shift, the big ahas is when you really surrender to life. Because here's the thing, you will not see beyond your own BS until you're ready to see beyond your own BS. You know why? Because your subconscious mind protects you. Your subconscious mind protects you, and here's the thing. And I learned this when I went to India, and you guys have to understand, like, I'm not someone that just was like, I had a wake-up call after I had a shitty life and, everything changed. No. What happened was I had an awakening, but it was while I was surrendering and listening to all the nudges. Do this, do that, stay away from those people, stay away from that, stop doing that, invest your money in this. It was like all this stuff, and like I did it radically. Like, for instance, I'm going back to Philadelphia, where I'm from, the first time in 2.5 years to lead my book tour. Why did I stay away from my family and like friends for so long? And some of them I saw when I went to New York last year. Some of them I've seen in some of my retreats, and we've gone on vacation together. They come out here to visit me. I decided that what I wanted to do was to radically transform my life. And when I got called to start my business, I moved back to LA, and I went into nose like in, or what do they say, like where it's like head down into whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know. I call it putting blinders on. I call it having an incubation period. And it's funny because last year, exactly 1 year ago, I saw on my Facebook memory that I had a private session with one of my teachers, Michael Beckwith. And in that private session, I was having some like doubts and feelings of isolation. And I said, I don't know if this is right for me, but like, I'm just feeling like, I don't know if I'm isolating myself, but it feels right. It feels like I should. I don't know if I'm doing something destructive to myself. And he said, Nicole, not everyone's going to operate in their calling. That's okay. Like, you don't want to be in the masses. You don't want to be following everyone doing what they're doing. So it's like, I had to check my ego. So I'm saying this for you guys because for some of you, you have something really like powerful on your heart that like you've been called to share. You have something you've been called to create. Maybe you have something that you've been called to leave behind because it's no longer serving you. But you may have tremendous fear around it because I have to be honest with you, there is a lot of grieving and fear that comes up if you're really being aware when you're doing the work. You'll notice that your ego doesn't like all the things that you're leaving behind and walking away from. But that's where it takes like that anchor into self and knowing that I don't know what is on the other side of this yes. I don't know what is on the other side of this choice, but all I know is that it's better than where I'm at. I know that it's where I'm supposed to be. I know that that's what I'm supposed to say. Now, how do we get that? We do the work. We have to do the work. BC says, sidebar, investment in Nicole's programs is fire, and it's truly an investment in yourself. Thank you, BC. And it's really true, guys, because I say this. Working with me is not like I didn't read a bunch of books. Like, I've been to Peru to do this work. I've been to India to study with monks. I have done silent retreats so many times. I'm doing all these, like, I'm like, oh, Tony Robbins' program changed my life. Let me go to 3 of them in 1 year, right? Like, I'm like, surrender, 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 surrender. So when you work with me, I'm taking tens of thousands of dollars of investments and also just like what I've been called to do and holding the space for you. No bullshit. Stepping into a higher like harmony for your life, but also not being afraid to step away from the crowd and to create what is uniquely yours, because you cannot waver from that. So it takes courage. It takes clarity. So that being said, guys, I hope that you ask yourself that question today. Because it's more than just getting the likes. It's more than just getting the followers. Like, it's more than getting that bullshit. When I think of people that I really admire, you know who I really admire? Like Marianne Williamson, Brene Brown, like people like that, right? And then there's like these internet influencers that are stepping out and they have followers. But it's like, I look at what they're really doing and like, I just get down to like, what am I here to do? So I don't want you to get caught up. If you're someone that's been called to create, if you've been called to share, like I literally started sharing, just like sharing in my living room, like I'm doing now, but without the light and without the like better equipment. Because when I started writing my book, I had a laptop that I had to keep plugging it in like every 2 minutes or it would make this sound. And this is really funny. And I would go to Starbucks to try to write because it was just like a better writing environment than where I lived. And when I would go to Starbucks to write, my laptop would be like, beep, beep, and I was just like, I'm trying to write my fucking book right now. So now I can laugh about that. And now I have a beautiful MacBook that I got to gift myself last year. But it's just like, stop playing yourself. Ask yourself, where do I stop? What am I not willing to do when it comes to my transformation? If you're not willing to spend the money, you're not willing to have fear around that, get over it. You cannot say that. Here's the thing with spending money on transformation, whether it's with me, whether it's with someone else, whether you go to India, whether you go to Bali with me, right? Like any of these things, it's like, wow, this feels scary. I've never spent this much on myself. Then you have to ask yourself, am I worth it? Okay, then you go through that. That may trigger you with some stuff. Do I believe I'm not going to make this money back in some way, shape, or form? You have to ask yourself that. Money is a replenishable resource. And that's one thing I got to know really early on, like with taking risk, was that money is so replenishable. Here's what's not: your life right now, right? Like, I'm so glad I decided to go hard in a 2.5 year period of time with my business to have the results that I have now. Not only with my business, but guys, the people that I hang out with, the kinds of friends that I have, the kinds of support I have in my life, it's because of me leaning into my best self, right? There's people that reach out to me and they want to spend time, they want to do these things, and I won't spend time or I won't do that because we're not living in the same way, right? So vibrationally, it's not there yet. I have to say this, like, how do you get there? You have to become that which you want to be a part of. You have to become that which you see. Like, you have to see it in advance. And you have to be willing to show up like that. So one of the first things I started doing, it was funny because I talked to my friend Annabelle about this, is when I was like making $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and it wasn't like it was happening all the time. It happened like twice. And it was like December 2016. And I started having six-figure dinners for myself. That's what it was. And I started going to these like really beautiful places that I love to go to in like Beverly Hills. So I started going there, and at the time, spending $100 on my dinner was like, wow, like I just started making this much money. It felt like, is this going to be sustainable? Is this going to keep happening? And then I had this opportunity to work with one of Tony Robbins' healers, and it was $500 a session. And I was like, oh, $500, like this is $500 for 45 minutes on this table. But I was like, this guy works on Tony Robbins' body, like Tony Robbins, right? I look up to Tony Robbins. He's freaking amazing. He works on his body, and I know I like flinch or cringe, I should say, at spending $500 on anything else. But I felt like if he works on him, I want him to work on me. Right? I want him to work on me. So it's funny. So I invested the $500, and I have to tell you, like the next month, just all those things of me starting to show up as my six-figure self, starting to show up as the woman who says, I deserve the best that life has to offer. In January, I had my first month that went over the $10,000 mark. And as you guys know, by June last year, I hit $100,000 in my business, like in those 6 months. So I was like, yes, it worked. All of this stuff, it worked. But it wasn't without the discomfort. It wasn't without the fear of like me saying yes to something and me going like, holy shit, is that the right thing? Oh my God, am I going to die? Is like, I am going to lose everything. Like, you know, like I had that inner dialogue of like, oh my God. But then I realized, why am I engaging in lack right now? Why would I engage in lack? How am I going to say that I am not more powerful than money? Why would I ever think that I'm not more powerful than $10,000? That is a joke, right? So I had to like shift all these things, and now my awareness is very much so expanded. So funny thing is, that happened in November with that guy, Dr. John Amaral, who works on Tony. And I went to India with him for a full retreat. So I got him to work on my body. He and his wife were working on my body for that entire time. And it was life-changing. I had a hella like self-worth relapse when I came home, because it was like I didn't integrate all that India stuff. So it was crazy. That's a whole other conversation. But my point is this, guys. What are you holding back from because you don't think you're powerful enough? And where are you saying, I can't, I don't know how, I'm not ready yet? And if you are, go in the mirror and get really honest with yourself. Why am I not willing to say yes to what's on the other side of this? Why do I not feel unworthy of what's on the other side of this? And know this, you'll never know exactly what's on the other side of a yes, right? But you have to know that when your soul speaks and says, this feels good to me, this feels right to me. Some of you guys that are in here, I've seen you in my email box talking about, I think I want to hire you as a coach. And what happens? You get scared because of money. Like, where would you be on the other side of it though, right? And not every program is for everyone. Not everyone is going to do the $5,000 program. Sometimes it's the $1,000 thing, right? Which, by the way, Radical Shift, my signature program starts on July 9th. It's 5 weeks. It's $997. If you've been to one of my live events, you get $200 off, which is crazy. But we cap out at 20 people. So here's the deal. I need it to be intimate enough where I can hold the space for all of you guys. But it needs to be 20 people feels really good. So we're going to do that. I have 2 spaces for private coaching right now. And if you sign up for that, you actually get Radical Shift for free. Not to mention you get Wake Up Your Wealth Consciousness and you get all this other stuff for free. And then Bali. Imagine spending a week together in Bali, right? That's just going to be something different. So Bali is the kind of thing, like if you see yourself waking up every morning and like getting into circle with 10 other women and praying and opening up your heart and doing all that kind of yummy work, then Bali's for you. But Bali's a really special experience. And to be honest, there's people that I've had to say no to for Bali just because they weren't ready yet with the work. But I have to say that if you feel called, reach out. But any of these things, reach out because they're happening. I got to go, guys. Love you. Evelyn says one of your mentors was Michael Beckwith. Yes. Well, he's very spiritual. I feel like we're all kind of spiritual. He's someone that surrenders to the work, right? I love his story. If you guys don't know it, Crystal says, this is so powerful and so timely. Thank you for being so raw and authentic and what you do. Evelyn says, I want to be like you when you grow up. Don't want, babe. Just do. Just do. That's a thing. We all, and you, I'm going to share this, guys. This happens and I see it and I'm like, what the heck is this? So people say stuff like, I hope I can do this one day. I hope I can read your book. I hope I can try this one day. There is no hoping. We don't have to hope. We are powerful as fuck, guys. Powerful as fuck. We do not have to hope and pray and dream for too long. This is what we have to do. We have to choose and decide. When we choose and decide, life shifts for us. I have to say this. I am not speaking this out of a law of attraction book that is bullshit. I'm saying I'm living, breathing evidence of this. If you guys have read my book, if you know my story, if you know any of these things, you know I'm a living demonstration. But here's the deal. My clients are living demonstrations. I see what happens for them too. My friends are living demonstrations, right? But we don't lie to ourselves. We show up and we say, here's what is not working for me. Here's what has not worked for me in the past. Here's what doesn't feel good. I'm going to let go of other people's opinions and I'm going to show up. And you know what? My Soul Cycle instructor, Pixie, by the way, if you guys have never done Pixie's classes in LA, kicked my ass. Like, seriously. She said this today, and it was like in the end, she was doing like a little prayer, and she said, lean into your wild and fuck everyone else's opinion. And I was like, yes. I was like, yes. So I was like, she was like, people are so afraid to feel the fear, feel the pain, to cry, to be uncomfortable. She was like, lean into it. And I was like, oh, yes. So talk about being in the right place in the right time on a Friday morning. So guys, I got to go. We're off to the movies and to the counter to get some burgers. But guys, I love you all. If you feel called and you are tired of being in your own fucking way, and I know I'm saying fuck a lot today, but like I feel it because I just get so frustrated when I see people standing in their way and they're acting like it's out of their control. It's up to you. You can change it. But how long are you going to talk about next time? How long are you going to talk about later? Later what? You could die later. You could die tomorrow. Like, what do you want to be known for? What do you have to what have you been, forget what you're known for. What has your soul asked you to be while you're here? That's what you have to worry about. Who cares what other people think? Who cares about that stuff? But I have to say that my yes has changed so much for so many people and it's continuing, right? Your yes is going to do the same. You just don't know it yet. You don't know you may know it intuitively, but you may have all these fears around not having the money, not having the time, not ready. get over yourself, because it's not about you anymore. That's what we really have to lean into when we're ready to make big change. That it's about the whole, and that the whole supports the whole. So when you say yes to something that's going to be about something more than you, you are so supported in it. Does it mean it's going to be so easy? No, because that doesn't serve you. Growth serves you. And maybe we should say this, that it could be easy, but there's going to be some growth involved, right? So that it doesn't feel so scary, right? So guys, get into Radical Shift before it fills up. Get to my Philly or New York session next week, because I don't really do live sessions outside of LA very often. Hell, I don't even do live sessions in LA very often. So get there if you can. Otherwise, 2 private spots available. Message me. Let's chat. Bye, guys. Have a beautiful Friday. Tag someone that needs this or share this with someone that you love. Bye.